Hi, and welcome back to the Heretical Heart Podcast. I'm your host, April Porter, and I am talking today about something that is not necessarily business related, but it's something that I keep seeing come up in social media, in the news, and it's a hot topic right now. And I think that I have some things to say about it, and I just want to share it here, and I would love to hear your feedback at the end of this. So if this resonates, if it doesn't, I'm curious. I'm really curious where you are with this because I've been talking to other people over the years about this and their thoughts are similar to mine. So I'm curious where this thought is coming from. So let me introduce the topic. The topic is that it's about estranged parents and adult children. And there's this pushback saying that we are too easy to abandon our parents, to cut ties, and to go our own way, to not have tolerance for our parents when they are doing things that are maybe what the world considers not appropriate anymore. But really what I think this comes down to is that the world is catching up and saying, you know what? All this shit you guys have been dealing with for decades and decades is not okay. And people feel a little safer to voice that fact that they have cut off their parents. They have drawn a line. They've created a boundary. And as someone who has had a complicated relationship with a parent for most of my life, I can say that I have cut off contact with this parent multiple times in my life, and even for years at least one point, and currently for a year. But I say that when I say that, I want to be really clear that it's not like for me or the people that I've talked to who have had to resort to this, it's not like we just get pissed off about one thing and we're like, well, I'm not talking to you anymore. It's so much bigger than that. It's so much more insidious, and it has its roots in our childhood. And maybe there's trauma, maybe there's addiction, maybe there's abuse, but there's a reason why adult children get to the point where they cannot do this anymore. And I actually got to the point as a teenager, and for a long time, I would tolerate and tolerate and tolerate and be pushed to accept the apologies, encouraged to apologize for my own behavior, which I was a teenager. I don't really feel like there was, I'm not saying I was perfect, but I'm saying that as a teenager, it is really up to the parent to mend that relationship or find a way to connect the relationship. I don't expect my teen children, if they are upset with me for something that I did or didn't do, to solve that, right? I would hope that they would come to me and talk to me about it and give me the opportunity to explain, understand, grow from that experience. And I have had those moments with my kids because we are not perfect. But when we expect the child to have to do the emotional heavy lifting, to make the repairs, to constantly concede, and to say, okay, I'm the child, you're the adult, I'm wrong, you're right, you keep doing what you're doing, and I will try and fit myself into this smaller box. And then the box gets smaller, and then it gets smaller, and it gets smaller. And pretty soon we don't know who the fuck we are anymore. And at some point, we have an emotional response. And for me, that became anger. And I don't like to get angry. And usually when I do get angry, historically, it is because I need to set a boundary. Something has been crossed, a boundary has been crossed, a need has not been met. And you can see this in my human design chart too, right? I have the channel 3740, which is all about needs. And when those needs aren't met, when I don't articulate those needs, when I don't share what they are, and I expect somebody to meet them and they don't, that's not really fair either. But, and so historically, I would ratchet up in this wave. And then when those needs were not taken care of, or those boundaries were blown through, I would react out of anger because I didn't know how else to get my boundary to set my boundary or to get my needs met, right? Somebody is pushing beyond what I feel capable of or want, and I have to get angry to make it stop. And anger is important because it does help us set boundaries, and I think it gets a bad rap, but I don't want to be angry. And that's the thing that always upset me, was that I felt like I had to lose my cool to get a boundary set, to be heard, to have somebody listen to me, to have a parent listen to me. I had to get to the point where I lost emotional control and reacted out of anger to get a boundary set. That doesn't feel good. It feels very bad when this is not who you want to be. But you feel like you're pushed to this brink because there is no other option. This person is not listening to you. They are not hearing you. They are not respecting you. They are not acknowledging who you are. My parent, to this day, refuses to spell my name the way it is spelled. Yes, I changed the spelling of my name when I was 14 years old because I hated my name. I did not like it. My dad gave it to me. I did not want it. I was teased for it. I was teased incessantly on April Fools and a lot of other days. And that was the one way I could assert my power, was to change this. And I legally changed it. But to this day, 30 some years later, he still refuses to acknowledge that. And that just tells me, you are not who you say you are. You're who I say you are. I have to be in control. Like, that's what it's saying to me by him refusing to acknowledge that. And even though all of these things have happened, over time, I began to see my parent as a person with wounds, a person who has a background that I don't fully know, a person who has, I assume, been very hurt and probably, I'm just going to say very hurt. And I can't presume what that means, right? Like, I don't know what those wounds are. I don't know where they come from exactly. I don't know what they are. But I know that we don't treat people this way if we haven't also been hurting or are still hurting. And over time, I learned to see that and acknowledge that and say, okay, this is not all about me, right? And I have grace for this person. I allow this person the grace to be who they are. I accept them as they are. And still, I would set boundaries and they would be blown through. And there's only so much of that you can take before you realize, like, I am not living my life for me. I'm living my life holding my tongue because I don't want to rock the boat. I don't want to upset everyone because I've been taught that we need to just play nice and get along. And I had a grandparent who was always meddling in that, always making me feel like I had to be the adult, even as a child, to mend things. So let me say that this is kind of a messy story, but I'm trying to tell the story without being too revealing because it's not all my story, but I'm telling you my side of it, my part. And that is that even when we have to set a boundary like this, like I can't have you in my life, or when a parent walks away, because that's what happened the last time for me. It was a parent made a choice, reacted emotionally, I assume feels bad about it, but doesn't know how to apologize. It is not on me to make those repairs. It is on that parent to make those repairs. And until they do so, I am not open for that relationship. I'm just not. And I've been through this multiple times. Whether this is something new to you or you've been going through this multiple times in your life, every time you go through this, whether you set the boundary or the parent cuts you off, it is not easy. It does not mean we're just over here happy. It means this is fucking hard. This is our parent, and our parents are supposed to protect us. They're supposed to support us, and they are supposed to be able to apologize, I believe. And when they can't make those repairs, when they can't connect, and we have to cut this parent off, it's not easy. And in that, there is grief. And this grief is very different than the grief we think of when somebody dies. Because when somebody dies, we can make peace with that. We can say, well, they did the best that they could while they were here. And now they're gone. And so there's nothing more to do except accept and learn to be with the memory of them, the parts that we can hold. But when somebody is living and we have to cut them off, it's like a death, except the person doesn't die. So there's always this flicker of hope, the hope of maybe they can change. Maybe things could be different. If only. And there's the potential because you know that this person could be better. You know that they could do better. But they are actively choosing not to. And when they actively choose not to, they are choosing themselves. They are not choosing you. They are not choosing the relationship. So for all of these bloggers and podcasters and people who are out there saying, well, we're too quick to cut off our parents. We're too quick to go through like eliminating people in our life. I call bullshit. This is fucking bullshit because we don't get to this place lightly. We don't just wake up one day and go, I'm not going to talk to them anymore. Yeah, I'm just done with that. And it's fine. I'm going to go live my happy life. No, there is grief every fucking day. Every birthday, every milestone, every holiday, every time you see something that reminds you of their potential, every time you see something that reminds you of something good, every time you see your husband interact with your children in a way that you wish that your parent would have interacted with you and they couldn't, there's grief in that. There is joy, great joy for what you see your kids receiving and that you have a partner who is so much more evolved and caring and compassionate and willing to do the work. But there's grief that you didn't get that and that you probably never will. But there's still hope. And that hope is what kills us. That hope is the thing that will make us crazy. And so sometimes that relationship has to be cut because we can only hope for so long. And when that hope is not given something to nurture it, it kills our spirit over time. So, to all of you who have had to go no contact with a parent or who have had a parent go no contact with you, I hear you, I see you, and I'm sending you so much love. And I'm curious what your thoughts are about this perspective that we are too quick to cut off our parents and not give them the benefit of the doubt. Because I think that we've been giving them the benefit of the doubt our entire lives, beyond what we would do for anybody else. And this to me is like victim blaming. And I'm not saying 100% of cases, right? Like exceptions to everything. But I think that we're getting this one really wrong. We're getting this really wrong because if you haven't been there, you shouldn't be speaking to this topic. That's all I have. Except I want to say, to tie this back into business, it does relate because as solopreneurs, as people who are running their own business, this grief is with us constantly. And we have to allow space for that in our lives and our businesses. So if we are going through one of those tougher times, how do we build our business in a way that allows us space to step back and grieve and to be with that? So just food for thought. I'd love to know your thoughts. That's all I have. Take care.